Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with a comic book that I forgot just how awesome of a read it is. This is X-Men issue 10 from July of 1992, and I didn't want to pull out my original copy and worry about it getting banged up. So this is the copy that came with the original Toy Biz Marvel Legends Mojo series, which we will eventually be going over because I got some things to say about this one that I absolutely loved, and I'm not really enjoying the way the new Hasbro version looks. But this is not an action figure review. Let's dive right into this book with the return of Longshot. And I'm really actually entertained by the way they kind of handled this homage to the Wizard of Oz. Because I'll be honest, there's a lot of mediums that have done this, and it's just, for me, is absolutely played out. But before we dive into where little happy bluebirds fly, let's talk about who made this comic book. The way that this reads, it says a Jim Lee joint with the supporting cast featuring Scott Liddell, Scott Williams, and Wyack. I don't even know how to pronounce this person's name. Outstater and Panosian, Buhalis and Orzanowski, Ariane and Bob Harris, and special guest Tom DeFalco. And again, don't let that February 2006 throw you off. There it is right there, the original print date. And one thing about these early 90s comics that I just love the most is how strong the artwork was. I mean, we look at newer books that we've gone over, both good and bad, and the artwork a lot of the times just feels like it falls flat. I mean, look at how the anatomy, the line work, it's just absolutely fantastic. I mean, look at this, the way Longshot's reintroduced to the X-Men. And he goes, "Was vid?" Keep that in mind. That's kind of important for later issues that we will review. He goes, "Who are you people? Why do you look so familiar?" But listen to Logan here. He goes, "You probably beat me up in grade school. Everyone else did. It hurt. Lots. I'd rather not talk about it." And you're like, well, wait a minute. What the hell is going on here? And then we get Rogue with like this metal on her, and then we get Scott saying, you know, "I tell you what's wrong with me, but it's not my place to say. I mean, who am I? A nobody, right? I'm not about to tell someone else what to do. I doubt I'd be good advice. I doubt everything." What the hell's going on? And then we get Beast kind of going, "Ruh, roo, roo," and it sounds like an episode of Scooby-Doo. So what happens is, spoilers if you haven't read it, the X-Men have been captured by Mojo. And Mojo decided that in this iteration of the X-Men's outing, it's going to be based on classic Earth films, which is like, why didn't I ever think of this before? Listen to the way that they talk. "The latest figures are in, Lord Mojo. Your live broadcast of The Wizard of X has attained the highest ratings ever in the history of Mojoverse." "Oh, just like I've always said, Major Domo, everybody loves the classics. Once you agree, Professor X?" "That is if you could, but you can't. But you would. If you could." Oh, God. They just made sure, the art team here just made sure to make Mojo look as disgusting as humanly possible, and it works. That's why we always enjoy him when he's in the books, because he's just so absolutely insane. And I don't know, it just adds this threat, because he's wanting to make TV, but he's also, you know, a murderer. And it always gives the X-Men a run for their money. Especially here where, what is it? Gambit's saying, you know, "Jubilee, be quiet." But she does have a point. "Perhaps we can broaden your demographic base with an all-star production of The Fall of Mojo." I like it, but I'm afraid to have to cast X Factor. You see, Gambit, your audition tape didn't go very well. And that's another thing I like about Mojo, is how everything he talks about is like in TV terms, but I kind of work sort of in the field, so it makes sense to me and it makes me laugh. In the way that they show with the audition tape, they call it the capture. And here we see Allison Blair, Dazzler. And so right there, organically, we're flashed to the past, and we are shown, not told through 1,000 miles of dialogue, we are shown how the X-Men ended up in Mojoverse. Allison came back to the main 616 universe asking for her help because Longshot needs help with his, what do you call it? What is that called? Revolution. Rebels. He needs help with the rebel fight. And she even says here, I don't remember where it is, but she mentions that, working alongside Longshot, she was finally starting to regain her memories from entering the Siege Perilous. Now, if you guys remember all the way back, I think it was Uncanny X-Men 248 or 249, where the Australian X-Men come back to the Outback, the Reavers come, and then the X-Men escape through the Siege Perilous, and at that point, Nancy, wow, I'm thinking of Stranger Things. Betsy gets merged with Quanon and becomes Psylocke, the ninja version of Psylocke. Peter loses his memories and becomes a painter in New York. And then we didn't really know what happened to Longshot or Dazzler for the longest time. So I love that they're going back and bringing us up to speed on what happened way back when. It was just a nice little breath of fresh air. And then we kind of see how the betrayal of what happens with the X-Men, what brings them to the Mojoverse. And I love the way here. There's a point where Scott actually says, let's say what Jubilee would say, and he goes, let's pump up the jam. And if you guys aren't familiar with Technotronic, go listen to the song from the 90s. That'll make a lot more sense to you. God, I'm old. But look at the way that they did Allison's light effect here for her powers. Very Jim Lee in terms of the anatomy. The colors look great. And I love the way when she finally hits Mojo, she's thinking, she wants to be Mojo universe to be saved. And she just goes full into the paint after Mojo. She goes, Mojo, we'll have to do lunch sometime. But until then, chew on this, and headshot. Wham. And look at this. Allison Blair, you've just been put on permanent hiatus. Oh, that is some gorgeous artwork, guys. And then because Dazzler, before she was X-Men, not a mutant, but an X-Men, she worked in the entertainment business too. So she kind of was able to throw quippy retorts back at Mojo as well. And I like how here at the end of this audition tape, it says the end, filmed in Mojo Vision. Now, with what happens with Allison, there's another big betrayal, and I don't want to give it away because I want you guys to go back and reread this comic and just how much fun it was. I mean, look at the torment on Professor X's face. And what's going to be happening with Dazzler, and who's this hooded figure that's going to be pulling the plug on Mojo TV. And then they give you an awesome story with Maverick, which I'm not going to go over, but I mean, look at how sleek that artwork is. We don't see this level of quality in comic books anymore. I mean, some sure, indie comics, yes. See, there's the Build-A-Figure thing for Mojo. But I'm talking about the main X-Men comics. The majority of them are just really boring, or it just looks very stock or 3D modeled use. This was still in the days of early graphic art, so this was still a lot of traditional pens, coloring, and pencils. And that's what made a lot of these comic books, just you go back and you just feel the love that they put into wanting to create a great product for Marvel. So with that, guys, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if they have a copy of X-Men number 10. It's one that you definitely want in your collection. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Mojo TV bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below, or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.